Showtime.
It is go time, guys. We are back with another podcast.
Podcast time.
Okay, so this time around, I figured we'd start off talking about a couple wrestlers that passed away this year in 2024.
Yeah.
And then after that, we're going to get into some questions that another YouTuber named Daniel Santana has for you. So let's get into it. So let's see here. Ole Anderson, he had passed away back in February 26, 2024. He was born in September of 1942, so he's up there in age.
Yeah.
He was 81 from what it says here, and he was a professional wrestler. Now, you obviously know more about him than I do, so I'm going to let you talk about him, but I know he was in the Four Horsemen.
Yeah, he was like one of the original Four Horsemen members. And,
Right.
And he worked with them for a while, then remember they turned on him, and
Yeah.
he wrestled for a while, but I remember him coming back during the 90s in WCW. But he came back in more of he was a manager for him at first, because he thought Ric Flair and the Horsemen were turning good guys, helping Sting, and they even made Sting a member of the Four Horsemen.
Right.
At one point, and they had a deal worked out where Sting was going to face Ric Flair for the title, and Ole came out and just fucking yelled at Sting, he's like, you're not getting a world title match, you're out of the Horsemen, and if you don't get out of here right now, you're gonna get hurt, boy.
That's pretty cool.
That was the infamous deal where they held him and Flair kicked him in his knee, and they had him where Sting had that big knee injury for a bit.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It says here that in his professional wrestling career, he started wrestling for American Wrestling Association back in 1967.
Damn.
Yeah, which is a long time ago, back in the 60s. And then he worked for Jim Crockett Promotions.
Yeah.
And then Championship Wrestling from Florida in the 70s. Looks like he's been pretty much all around, which is crazy.
Oh, yeah. And he was a tough motherfucker, too, man.
Yeah. He had a feud with the Four Horsemen tag team with Lex Luger in the 80s, 87 to 88. There was a Four Horsemen reunion in 89 and 90.
Yeah, like I said, that was around the time that when he came back, and
Right.
they did that whole turn on Sting deal, and I think he even I think he even tag teamed with Arn Anderson.
Yeah.
And because that was when because remember Arn used to always tag team with Tully Blanchard, and then when that whole deal came down where where Arn went back to WCW and Tully didn't come back, that it's okay, we're gonna have Ole take that spot and be his tag partner.
Right on. And it says here in his personal life he had 7 children.
Damn, that's a lot.
That's
dude.
a lot of kids, bro.
Can you imagine raising damn 7 kids?
Not me. That's not for me.
Ooh.
But I'm
a severe, stressful environment.
Yeah.
That'd be the ticket.
You got to be strong to do all that. But it says in July of '97, it was reported that he had multiple sclerosis, and and he had memory loss. He had decreased mobility, memory loss. Oh, wow, that's not good. And then, unfortunately, he had passed away in February 26th, 2024.
He was 81, man. He lived a good life.
Yeah, he lived a long life, and he's been in the wrestling business a long time. He retired in the early 90s, says, I believe, from WCW.
Yeah. He was a no-nonsense, one of the no-nonsense wrestlers back in the day.
Right. Good stuff. But, unfortunately, he passed away.
Yeah.
And also, I guess we'll get into Virgil. Virgil passed away on February 28th, 2024. He was born in April of 1951. He was only 72. And we got it. Huh?
He was that old?
Yeah, that's what it says.
I didn't think he was that old. But
well, I remember him wrestling in the 80s. I mean, he's got to be up there.
Yeah. Remember when he started in WWF? He started off being the bodyguard for the $1 Million Man.
Yeah. And
everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
And he got built pretty well. I mean, his muscle tone back in the 80s was pretty solid. He worked out.
Yeah.
His rookie years, it says, from 85 to 87, with the let's see, WWF. Wow. And also, we got to meet Virgil at the Motor City Comic Con years ago.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. Yeah. You got a signed, what is it? A signed autograph?
Signed picture. It was like from the 90s. It was him, Bret Hart, British Bulldog, and I forget who the other one was in the picture. It was a deal from Survivor Series 91. He worked Survivor Series match with those guys.
Right. And what did he charge you for that picture? Wasn't it $20?
I think it was only like $10 or something.
Yeah. And nowadays, if you go to the Comic Con, they charge it like way more than that. It's like $60, $70 on up for a picture, depending on the wrestler.
You remember? Not only did I get to meet Virgil, I also got to meet the Honky Tonk Man.
Yeah, because he was right next to.
Yeah, and we were going to get a picture taken, and we were going to have Virgil take the picture, and he screwed it up, like he screwed up the flash or whatever, and Honky Tonk Man just started cussing him out, like, God damn, boy, were you trying to ruin my picture? You know, we're a wet dream, boy.
Yeah, I remember I was going to take the picture, and then he slapped the back of my shoulders, and he said, "Hey, you want me to take it?" And I said, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah, I remember you told me like that like you were just like, "Wow, what the hell?" Like when he slapped you.
I was a little shocked by it because I'm not a wrestler, but because he's probably used to that type of physical stuff with people. But I think now looking back, I think he was a little upset at me maybe because he had asked me, did I want to take a picture with him? And I told him, no, I'm all right. It's not that I didn't want to take a picture with him. It's just I don't think I had enough money left on me to take one. So I just held off. So I think maybe because of that he was upset. I don't know. But it's kind of funny though.
Yeah, it was cool though, man.
It was cool talking to them because they were both pretty cool.
It's funny that years of my wrestling watching experience that one of the wrestlers I never really cared for back in the day was the Honky Tonk Man.
Right. Like, but then after meeting him, it's a whole new story.
After meeting him, after having a conversation and realizing that, man, he's one of the funniest, coolest guys that you'd ever meet. Like, he had a picture, like, he had a bunch of pictures displayed, and there was one where, like, he's with Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan's, like, looking at him, getting all mad, like, "Urgh," and Honky Tonk Man's just looking, like, not even looking at Hulk, looking at the camera and, like, smiling. And I made a comment to him, like, "Man, you weren't scared of Hulk back in the day, were you?" He's like, no. What Hulk Hogan should have been scared about is that, like, 18-year-old boy sleeping in his house, lying in bed with his wife.
Yeah, because that was back when his wife, I guess, left him, and she got this younger version of Hulk Hogan. He looked like him, kind of.
Yeah, she broke up with Hulk Hogan,
right,
and dated an 18-year-old boy.
Yeah, which she's probably not even with that guy still.
Who knows and who cares? That was like
years
that
ago.
was like such a long time ago. You got to figure that kid's probably close to his 30s now, you know?
He has to be over his 30s.
Yeah.
Somewhere in his early 30s.
But it was cool, like, you know, meeting him, meeting Virgil, because
right.
I mean, I remember a lot of Virgil's career back in the day when, like I said, him starting off in WWF days with the $1 Million Man and working with him for, you know, years, and then, like, I think it was in '91 where Virgil finally like turned on him and
right,
you know, became, you know, just a solo wrestler, and like it was cool because, you know, you always just see him in that bodyguard role for Ted DiBiase, and then
right.
Well, finally see him strike out on his own.
Well, plus he was in the WCW, the NWO.
Yeah,
you know,
and they brought him in as Vincent.
Yeah.
WCW sure was the land of gimmicks, man. Like it seemed like every time you turn around, they had several wrestlers there that seemed like every week they had a different like name, a different gimmick every week.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, and Virgil was the same way. Like they started him off as like he was Vincent until like I think he went from like being Vincent, and then he wanted to be called like Shane as like a knockoff to Shane McMahon, because that's remember when that whole powers to be deal came about in WCW when Vince Russo took charge. He's like, I don't want to be NWO member no more. It's like, I want to be Shane.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and then he later on he joined like Kurt Hennig and his West Texas Rednecks group, and he started calling himself Curly Bill. Like, I'm Curly Bill, baby.
That's funny.
I think one of his last matches he ever wrestled in WCW, he came out and said, he's like, I'm not Shane, I'm not Vincent, I'm not Curly Bill, I'm going by my real name, Mike Jones. And dude, he went out and fought Tank Abbott, and you know, he got his clock cleaned by Tank Abbott, dude. He got fucking destroyed.
Yeah. It says
back in the days, dude, they brought Tank Abbott in, and he was one guy you did not want to get fucking ring with.
It's a tough son of a bitch, huh?
Yeah. Well, especially you gotta figure he came from UFC to pro wrestling. You know?
Damn.
It's like,
yeah.
This motherfucker ain't no fake, wrestler. Like, he's a legit tough guy.
Right, yeah, the UFC guys are pretty tough.
Yeah.
It says here that in 2022, he had suffered 2 strokes and was diagnosed with dementia. And then it says, like a month later, he was diagnosed with stage 2 colon cancer. Wow, that sucked. And then in 2024, just a few days before he passed away, he had an additional 2 strokes, it says. So yeah, his body was just shutting down.
Well, yeah, I mean, they say all those years, taking bumps in the ring, it says like that it destroys your body.
Yeah. A lot of the wrestlers, they pass away long before their time.
Yeah,
because it's a bit much for your body to handle.
Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, he's passed away.
He was cool though, man. Like
2024.
like even years later in wrestling, you always seen him like pop up like at like say he was at the Comic-Con,
Yeah.
he was on some other like YouTubers channel like making an appearance. I was like, whoa, that's cool. Like this guy got Virgil.
Well, yeah, they probably paid him, obviously.
Yeah. It was Grim. He got Virgil to actually show up to his house and sit and watch like a pay-per-view with him and his buddies.
Grim, from the YouTuber Grim.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and Virgil came over and sat with them watching a wrestling pay-per-view, and Virgil even brought over like a copy of the $1 million championship belt that he wore when he won it from Ted DiBiase.
Wow, that's cool.
And he just showed to us he's like, this is the belt, and I was like, damn, that guy still got that belt after all these years. You gotta figure that was probably 91 or so when that whole deal happened. And it's like, damn, 20 years you've been carrying that belt around.
Yeah, it's probably worth some money.
Yeah.
And stuff. So.
But yeah, that was cool to see that, and then I know he did a lot of those like autograph signing deals.
I know. A lot of times people weren't going up to his booth. He had an empty booth, unfortunately for him. But rest in peace, Virgil and Ole Anderson.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that they passed away. But
it does suck, man, because it's like, as the older we get, the more of the wrestlers that
we grew up with, we see them passing,
Yeah, are just like popping off like crazy, like it's like, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like you're starting to get to the point now where you go back and you watch like early WrestleManias now, and you're just realizing like, wow, everybody like at this event is no longer here.
Right, except for like Hulk Hogan.
Of course.
At the moment, he's still kicking, brother.
Yeah,
yeah.
like
death doesn't work for me, brother.
Yeah, death don't work for me, brother.
I bet that's what he says from time to time.
That should be, somebody should make that into a shirt, like a Hulk Hogan shirt,
Yeah.
and you have it like, death don't work for me, brother.
Oh, yeah, that's funny. But
it's funny because, like I said, that was Hulk Hogan's favorite saying, that don't work for me, brother.
Right. But, yeah, I guess we'll move on from all that, and we're going to get into some questions now from Daniel.
Oh, questions.
It's question time, brah.
Sweet.
It's all good here.
All right.
We got some good ones, though. We got a lot of cool ones about wrestling and stuff.
Yeah.
So first up, one of his questions is, did you have a line of WWF action figures with the bone crunching sound effects?
I had a couple of, not a whole lot of the bone crunching ones.
Right.
Like, but I mean, I do remember having a couple of those. Like, I think I had like a Triple H and a Stone Cold one but the figures I always like was my favorite that I collected a lot of was the Hasbros.
Right. Gotcha.
I think, by the time the bone crunching ones came out and all those, like, that was probably past my wrestling figure stage, so to speak.
Right. Okay, so next question here is, on the Big Show, back when he was the Giant in the WCW, is there any Do you have any favorite Giant matches? At least two of them.
Ooh,
Is there any that stand out from the Giant, aka the Big Show from WCW?
I'd probably say the infamous monster truck match that he had with Hulk Hogan at '95 Halloween Havoc.
Yeah.
Where he got shoved off the roof and everybody made you think that he was dead, and later on he just comes walking down the aisle an hour later, like perfectly fine, ready to fight Hulk Hogan. that match was funny. There was a match that he worked with the Macho Man, and like Macho Man like flipped out at one point, went and grabbed a chair and was just like hitting him with it over and over. The whole Dungeon of Doom came out. He was clocking all of them, and then like took off. And like the Giant, when he finally like stood up, he was so fucking pissed off that he went to go chase Macho Man, but instead of like climbing over the ropes, the motherfucker leaped over the top rope totally onto the floor and just started like running and like you're like, holy shit, he just cleared the top rope.
Nice.
And it's just like, wow, like that's what was cool about the Giant in WCW days. Like, he did a lot of shit I don't think you ever saw him do in like WWF.
Right.
Like he did, like he would try to do like a lot of stuff. Like you see him throw like drop kicks. He even like did like top rope moves and shit.
That's cool. Well, also he was pretty young though back then, in his 20s.
Oh yeah.
So you could move a lot better. Back then and stuff.
Yeah.
But let's see here. Okay, next question is what would Joe rate NWO Sold Out in 1997? He says he gives it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean it was cool. I mean nothing. I mean it was an NWO like event deal, but if you think about it, nothing really big happened at that event.
Right. So what would you rate it? Like a 5, a 6?
I'd probably give it,
7.
For what it was, I'd give it about a 6.
A 6?
Yeah.
Right on.
Because I mean, there were a couple of really good matches, but the way the main event was Hulk Hogan and the Giant, and like what I hated back the NWO days, you never got like a legit finish to a match. Like every match that like Hulk Hogan would do or an NWO member would do, like it's like, oh, gotta be running. It's gotta be running. And that's basically what Sold Out was. Like a bunch of NWO guys came out, got involved, and just like, I was like, wow, your big event, and you can't even do like a legit finish.
Something. Okay, let's see here.
But they did have a pretty cool a ladder match between the late great Eddie Guerrero and Sean Waltman. That was pretty entertaining.
Kick ass. So let's see here. Next question. Did you own a Hillbilly Jim action figure?
Oh yeah, I had the big rubber fucking one.
Oh, kick ass. From what, like the 90s or the 80s?
Yeah, he had the overalls, the hat deal, and those were cool figures, man. You ever find them? Like they're very rare to find nowadays.
Kick ass.
Hillbilly Jim, don't go messing with a country boy.
That's funny. That is funny. Okay.
That was the dude. That was one of my favorite theme songs growing up. That I always had stuck in my head. That when you heard that music, you're like, yeehaw!
Okay. Next question is, what's Joe's favorite NWA/WCW Great American Bash? He says his was the 1990.
Ooh, 1990, huh?
Do you have a favorite American Bash?
Great American Bash. Great American
NWA.
Yeah, I'm saying there's so many. I'm just trying to remember, like. Ooh. I would probably have to say.
Well, do you have a couple good favorites, or?
What was like he said that his was 90?
Yeah, he says his was would be the Great American Bash 1990.
Okay, I'm trying to think who, like, if that was the one where that one's. I wonder if that was the event that Sting won his that world title from Flair.
I couldn't tell you offhand. I'd have to look.
I'd probably, you know what? If that is the, I would have to go with that one, the one that where Sting, won the championship from Ric Flair.
Oh, okay.
Came out the red, white, and the blue, face paint and the.
Good stuff.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Next question is, I don't know if you've seen this, but what did you think of WrestleMania 2004? Did you watch the 2004? WrestleMania 20?
Yeah. That was when that was when fucking Eddie Guerrero was WWE champion.
Right.
He fought Kurt Angle, and you had Chris Benoit wrestle Triple H and Shawn Michaels for the world. It doesn't even get credited for that anymore. When you look at the history books, it basically says, when you look at the results for like WrestleManias, it just says that Shawn Michaels, or not Shawn, or
Triple H
lost the world title at this event. It doesn't even say like to who he lost it to. It says when it comes to results, like Triple H lost the world heavyweight title match.
Yeah,
Like,
of course.
Wow.
It's a crazy world, man.
Yeah.
What that kind of shit. But let's see here. Next question. Are you familiar with the Hulk Hogan versus David Schultz June 17th, 1984 match, which he thinks is one of Hogan's more entertaining matches?
I mean, I've never seen the whole match. I've seen like little clips here and there of their matches, like when they did the Dark Side of the Ring with David Schultz.
Oh, okay, gotcha. What did you think of David Schultz, by the way? Did you ever get into watching his wrestling, or?
Well, I mean, I didn't really watch him back in the day, but when seeing him in the Dark Side of the Ring, his younger deal, like I said, with Hogan and all that, he was an asshole. Like, he was a pretty cool, wrestler.
Yeah, he was a tough guy that seemed to have a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, he slapped that reporter in the fucking face twice.
Yeah. Because he asked, I was like, I think wrestling's fake. Oh, you think wrestling's fake, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, that's an open hand slap.
He hit him pretty fast and hard too. I would have been so pissed off, man. I would have sued him. Well, he did sue him.
Yeah. Remember, he slapped him at first. I was like, oh, what's the matter? Oh, that's an open hand slap. And he just fucking comes up and hits him with the left slap. And that dropped him. And I was like, damn.
Yeah, I would have been. I'm sure he was pretty fucking pissed.
I say, slapping him once was But slapping him the second, that was kind of going overboard.
Right.
You know,
Slap him the first time was overboard because that guy's a reporter. He's not a fighter. You know, that's assault. You know, but anyways.
but then again, you know, David Schultz, what the hell?
Yeah, what the hell you asking him questions for?
Yeah,
you know?
because I mean, you know his character. You know he's like a tough guy.
Well, plus Vince told him to stay in character, so.
Yeah. And you know that I feel like that's what he did. He stayed in character, and when the guy asked him if wrestling was fake, it's like in his character, how do you answer that? You know?
Right. Plus, at that time, that you throw that word around like that.
No.
Because the wrestlers were trying to protect the business.
No, they did that in the fucking 90s with remember Vader? They had him on a talk show, and
right.
guy asked him if he's like, is wrestling fake? And he just like jumped up, grabbed the guy by his shirt, like, does that fucking feel fake? Huh? Does that fucking feel fake?
Right. Well, Vader did say in a shoot interview that whole thing was a work.
Yeah, well, I gotta say, obvious that was a fucking work, because, like, how it was, security, if you would have jumped up and grabbed him like that, wouldn't security would have ran up like, hey, what the hell's going on here?
Right. So, anyways, next question here. Got a cool one here for you. He says, what do you think of the Bret Hart versus Tatanka, was this match from Raw of 1996? March 18th, 1996. He says it's one of the rare matches in which Bret Hart wins without his finisher, the sharpshooter. And he says I believe Tatanka left WWF shortly after.
Yeah, that was Tatanka's last WWF match, but it was cool because in a way, like I was always like to have seen, throughout the years, Tatanka take on Bret Hart. But I like to have seen, they have that match a couple of years prior when Tatanka was really, to me, in his prime. By 96, he was packing on a lot of weight at the time.
Right. Because in the 80s, he was pretty thin and built almost like a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
And then for some reason he packed on weight over the years, and then now he lost the weight,
Yeah.
As
at
of
one
now.
point, dude, like I said, a couple of years ago, he was looking horribly out of shape,
right.
dude.
So people must have told him, look, man, you look like shit. You need to, turn that around.
Well, when you see him, come out and do an independent wrestling match, and the camera shoots you from the side, and you look like you got this fucking belly that you look like you're pregnant. Like, it's just like, yeah, I think we got a fucking problem here.
Right. Plus, age, it's not good to be heavy when you're older.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, speaking of the match, though, I mean, the match was pretty good. I mean, just, your basic back and forth, bad guy versus good guy deal. And
right.
I don't quite remember the finish. I think Bret won with like a roll up or a small package or some shit like that.
Right.
But it was cool to see, like, it was cool to see, Bret go one-on-one with Tatanka, because I think that, if I'm not mistaken, that was the only time I think they ever wrestled each other.
Could be.
Yeah.
Let's see. Next question here is, did you ever own any of the Royal Rumble anthology sets here, DVDs, and I believe, or VHS tapes of the Royal Rumbles?
I don't really have the anthologies, but at one point I did have like every Royal Rumble
on VHS?
On VHS tape at one point. Like I had 1990, probably all the way up to like 2001.
Right.
I had every one of those on like VHS, And then, like when the VHS deal like ran its course and DVDs came in, I think I know I had 2002 to 2010 on DVD. And
right.
like after that point, I just kind of stopped, buying wrestling DVDs at the time.
Right. Right on.
But I mean, I think at one time I did pick up one thing of the anthology because I got a good deal on it at the flea market.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, I don't remember what it was. It was like one of the middle ones. Like, I think had to 98 or 99's Royal Rumble or whatever.
Yeah, they had a volume 1, 2, and a 3, I believe. I never picked them up, and I should have back years ago when I had a chance. So I kind of screwed up on that. I'm picking up those anthologies. I do have, quite a few, just normal DVDs, but not the anthology sets. I do have the SummerSlam box sets.
Yeah. The Royal Rumbles was always the ones I'd always pick up because I always was a fan of the Battle Royal deal, the Royal Rumble, so to speak.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
But let's see here. Next question is, what would you rate Royal Rumble 1994? He says he gives it an 8 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah, I would say I'd probably give it about 7, 8 because it was one of the pretty cool Royal Rumbles. They had that infamous casket match with Yokozuna and the Undertaker.
Yeah.
Where the smoke came out of the casket and Undertaker appeared in the Titantron inside the casket, waking up and saying I'll never rest in peace, and you see him floating out of the damn Titantron. And I was like, what the fuck? That's when wrestling was going really crazy at that time.
Yeah, it was awesome in the 90s.
You had that happening, and that was when Owen Hart turned on Bret.
Right on.
I kicked you in the leg, Bret, because it felt great. And Big Daddy Cool Diesel, that's when he started getting big because he came out in that Rumble and he cleaned house.
Hell yeah.
And he had a lot of good runs. I mean, you had pretty much everybody in the 94 Royal Rumble. You had Diesel, Shawn Michaels, Tatanka, Bret Hart, Lex Luger, Bam Bam Bigelow. Hell, Doink. Dude, one of the funniest eliminations that happened at the 94 Royal Rumble. Poor Doink the Clown got beat down by Bam Bam, and Bam Bam picked him up over his head and just threw him out of the ring, and you just see him go flying through the air and just hit the ground. Oh! I was like, damn, man, they killed the clown.
Hell yeah.
I was like, poor Doink, man. That's just wrong to fucking eliminate him like that.
Hell yeah.
It's get the fuck out of here.
Good stuff. Next question is, what did you think of the Shawn Michaels versus Mr. Perfect at WWF Stripes Forever 1991? This happened.
1991.
Yeah, March 17th, 1991.
Damn, that was when Shawn was still a good guy, wasn't he?
I don't recall. Wasn't he? I thought he was.
No, he didn't turn heel till fucking late 91, because I remember by 92 he was a bad guy.
Okay, well, do you remember that match?
I'm might have seen it, but I've seen Shawn Michaels and Mr. Perfect always work good together.
Yeah, well, they're both great wrestlers.
Yeah, you watch like several of their matches, and there's always a good classic. Whether he was a good guy and he was a bad guy, or vice versa.
Right on.
I'd always rate a Shawn Michaels Mr. Perfect match a good solid 8.
Yeah, I mean, agreed. They could always roll pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's see here. What is your favorite King of the Ring event? His is King of the Ring 1998.
Oh, the Undertaker Mankind.
Yeah. That was a hell of a match.
Yeah, that was cool.
But do you have a favorite?
Oh man, I'm thinking here. That's a good one because there's a lot of King of the Rings.
Right.
I would have to say mine would probably be 96.
1996.
Yeah, you know why? Because that was the day where Austin 316 says, "I just whooped your ass."
Awesome.
Yeah, and that was a pretty good event. You had some good matches. You had like I said, you had the finals of it was Stone Cold and Jake. It sucked because Jake got hurt by Vader in an earlier match, and when he came out to fight, like he was just really in no shape to battle a guy like Stone Cold. Hell, even Stone Cold worked hurt that night. He got kicked in the lip by Mark Marrow and had to go get like stitches in his lip, and then come right back to the arena and go right into a match with Jake the Snake, who was also hurt. So, but
damn.
But like I said, when he went up and after he won, and he pulled out that Austin 316 deal, like that made him that night.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
He said, it's funny. Somebody asked him like, how did you come up with the Austin 316? And he said he came up with it like on the fly, like when
well, Jake the Snake, right?
Yeah.
He was talking about the Bible and.
Yeah, because he was walking back and Michael Hayes said something to him. He's like, "What did Jake say earlier?" He said, he was talking about his Bible verses and stuff, and he just said, "Well, like I'm going to use that." He's like, "You sit there and you thumb through your Bible and it didn't get you anywhere." He's like, "Talk about your Psalms, talk about John 3:16. Austin 3:16 says I just whooped your ass."
Yeah.
It's cool when by 97 when they came out with those Austin 316 t-shirts. Like I said, I remember getting one of those, man. I had to wait months because like them shirts sold out like crazy on the WWF shop deal.
Yeah, I remember you did order one of those shirts.
Yeah, I loved it. It was the original Austin 316 with the blue smoking skull off the back, and I was like, oh yeah.
That's awesome.
They kept sending me shit in the mail, telling like, "Oh, your shirt's on back order. Your shirt's on back order." Like, come on, man, I want my shirt.
Which took months to get.
Yeah.
They were selling out big time back then, man.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Next question is, do you recall a WCW reporter, a woman named Catherine White?
Catherine White.
WCW reporter.
I don't.
Don't offhand?
Not really.
Okay, next question is, what is your favorite year of WWF? His is 1997, which is a cool year.
Yeah, favorite year. Ooh.
I would have to kind of agree with that. 97, 98.
Yeah.
Those are like my favorite.
You know what? I would have to say 98.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, that's when wrestling, like, made that, like, a big turn where, like, you know, Stone Cold became the man and Vince became, like a bad guy, and just all craziness started happening. Like, you know, Degeneration X, like, forming with Triple H, X-Pac, and the New Age Outlaws, and some wild matches, good storylines, and
plus the WCW versus WWF at that time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Monday Night Wars.
WWF stepped up their game, with having Stone Cold and DX and Nation of Domination and
it was fucking cool back then.
Yeah.
Good times.
98, like I said, was a really good time because they had their summer. Remember their SummerSlam in '98? They themed it with the Highway to Hell music.
Yeah.
I'm on the highway.
Oh yeah. All right. Next question here. Do you recall Saturday night's main event, which happened in February of '87? He says a battle royal won by Hercules, and Andre eliminated Hogan. And last but not least, he says Andre the Giant Headbutt eliminated Lanny Poffo so hard that Lanny was
busting his head open.
Yeah, he was bleeding big time from the forehead.
I do remember that battle royal. I remember that incident. And because you just seen like him lay on the floor and fucking his whole head was covered in blood.
Right.
Yeah. And I remember Andre eliminating, like, it shocked everybody because, of course, you see Hulk Hogan in the battle royal, you're thinking, oh yeah, Hulk's gonna win it, yeah. And then it's like when you see Andre eliminate him, it's like you're like, whoa, hey, what?
That's
I was shocked that Hercules won it, like, because I thought a good guy is always supposed to win a battle royal to make that, but when Hercules, I was like, oh damn, good for him,
Yeah, that's good stuff. Old school wrestling there from late 80s.
Hercules was a bad dude. I'm surprised he never did more than what he did. Like, they never put a championship on him, or he had the look and the build that he could have been like a true bad dude.
Right on. Now let's see here. I'm trying to see if there's any more questions. I'm sure I could find some more.
Yeah.
Okay, we got one. It says, do you recall the 1997 WWF Bad Blood? Just as a live in arena was getting underway, Vince McMahon had announced Brian Pillman's passing.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I do.
Remember all that?
I didn't order the event, but back in the old cable setup deal we used to have, like, you could go to what was that channel? It was like the preview channel where you just run a list of what's playing on every channel, and you get something like playing at the top. And whenever they do a pay-per-view, they do like a free what they call it, free for all or something, like where it like a half hour before the show, you get like a lead up and all this stuff. And I remember Vince coming out there saying that, announced that Brian Pillman had passed away, and it was fucked because he was supposed to wrestle at that event. Him and Goldust him and Mick Foley were supposed to have a match, and if Mick Foley won, like, Brian Pillman would have to go right from wrestling him to have a match with Goldust.
Yeah, it's too bad he passed away, man.
Yeah, because he was like right in the midst of working like a really cool, like, deal with Goldust where he won like Goldust's wife for like 30 days.
Yeah.
And like it was so crazy. Like it was such a weird deal. Like you got the man's wife holding her hostage, making it appear like they're laying in bed naked together, and just like you're rubbing it in, like saying like I got your wife, Dustin.
That's crazy.
that would make somebody fucking crazy. Like seeing your wife laying in bed with another guy, and you're just like, oh, I'm gonna kill this son of a bitch. Like that's my wife.
That is something.
Yeah,
let's see
but that
here.
was tragic, man, because Brian Pillman was a damn character, man. I know he was cool like in the 90s, but when he came up with that loose cannon gimmick, like just acting crazy and shit, like that's when he became a hell of a character. You never know what you never know what he was going to do next,
Right on. We got another question here.
All right.
Do you recall the British Bulldog versus King Kong Bundy January 8th, 1995 match? Let's see, WWF Action Zone. This is where the Bulldog was thrown out of the ring by King Kong Bundy, and Bulldog seemed to have suffered a minor painful injury, so the referee called the match.
I would have to say that's one. I think that's a match that slipped by me. I don't ever recall.
You don't recall that one?
I don't.
I don't either. King Kong January 1995 Action Zone.
Okay.
So we don't remember that one.
Watching all the wrestling matches over the years, like some matches do kind of get by you, and it's like, damn, I don't remember.
It would be kind of impossible to watch every single one.
Yeah.
I mean, unless if you're extremely huge into watching wrestling and taped everything. Did you tape everything, by the way, back in the day?
Back in the day, yeah, like in the mid to late 90s, like I tried to record like every wrestling program that came on, like Raw, Nitro, WCW Saturday Night, WWF Superstars, WCW Pro, WWF Wrestling Challenge.
Right.
I know I had a bunch of those, but
I know you had a lot of bought in VHS tapes, but I know you recorded a lot on those blank tapes.
I used to hit up the stores back when they sold like those 5-packs of like blank tapes, and I would just put one in and start off the week. They'd play Monday Night Raw and Nitro, record those, and like on the weekend, all the wrestling shows, like they said, like Superstars, WCW Saturday Night, WCW Worldwide, it's like, and it's funny, I would date all the tapes too, like, okay, what do I have on this tape this week? I got Monday Night Raw, Nitro, Superstars, Challenge, Saturday Night, and I'd put like, when I started with the first show and the last show that I ended with, like, so it'd be like October such and such of 94 to October such and such, 94, for that whole week of shows.
Right on. Yeah, because I remember you had a lot.
Oh yeah, I had quite a wrestling library going, but just eventually got to a point where that library of mine got lost in a way.
Right, or you sold a lot of them off.
Yeah.
Now they're worth good money.
I know, it sucks too, man. Like, if there's one thing I could get back in life, I get my wrestling library back.
Yeah, I would have loved to have I wasn't collecting wrestling VHS tapes back then, but I wish I had, and just kept them sealed or something. Let's see here. Another question is, what did you think of the Shawn Michaels versus Rowdy Piper match in March of 1992? I wonder if he's talking about a WrestleMania match.
No, they never fought at WrestleMania.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Him and Roddy Piper, I don't think ever worked I think they worked shows and stuff, but I don't think they ever wrestled like main shows.
Okay, so this wasn't a main. He's not saying.
Have
you seen that match from the early 90s? 92?
I haven't seen the whole match. I've seen clips of it.
Yeah.
And it's just, I never could find the, whatever tape or whatever it was that had that match on it, because I wanted to see the whole thing.
Okay, gotcha.
But it looked pretty cool. I mean, like I said, Piper and Shawn, both good athletic athletes. They could put on a show.
Right on. Oh, yeah.
Shawn alone could always put on a good wrestling show. Like, the way he would take bumps, the way he could take, falls and dives to the floor and stuff. It's like, dude, that'd kill somebody.
Yeah. That's pretty wild.
I'll never forget him. Remember Shawn Michaels completely overselling for Hulk Hogan?
Yeah. That was just fucking... That
was a fucking shit show.
That was something, man.
Well, you see Shawn get knocked out of the ring. He goes out of the ring, does a flip, rolls halfway up the aisle, right. Shawn, really, a fucking clothesline to the floor. You gotta take it like that. You just gotta completely oversell it.
Right.
You look at Hulk at some points during that match. He was even looking like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like, are you gonna sell every punch, every kick, just flipping and rolling around the ring like
like a fucking goofball? Oh man,
what?
That's crazy.
But when Shawn could, didn't have to actually work a match, he could work a damn good match.
Yeah, you ain't kidding, man. They could work. That's why they've been around.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Now Shawn's a baldy.
Yeah. Lost his hair. But let's see. Yes. Do you recall what you got for Christmas in the early '90s, like '94? Did you get any wrestling tapes or anything like that? VHS tapes for Christmas during the early '90s?
A lot of VHS tapes. I'd always get a lot of wrestling figures.
Oh, did you?
Back in the early '90s.
That's cool.
That's what, like I said, when the Hasbro figures were big in the early '90s. I remember the one figure I saw they were coming out with was they were making a figure of the British Bulldog.
Yeah.
And I remember telling my mom, she asked me what I wanted for Christmas. I want the British Bulldog Hasbro figure. And sure enough, woke up Christmas Day, unwrapped the present, and I got several those Hasbro figures, and the one I wanted the most was the British Bulldog.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was like, hell yeah! I got the British Bulldog. I think Earthquake, and what's the other figure? It was the Undertaker.
Oh, that's cool.
It was the Undertaker's Hasbro figure.
That is cool.
You ever see the back when they did came out with the Hasbros? How they did the commercials for them.
Mm-hmm.
In the bite of the Bulldog, Boss Man's laying down the law.
Now you're talking about from the '80s, am I right, or early '90s?
The '90s.
'90s. Yeah, that's right. I remember like the Ultimate Warrior and Rowdy Piper.
Yeah.
You know, kids playing on a ring and.
Oh yeah, dude. I remember at one point I had like the ring. I had probably every Hasbro figure at some point. I didn't have them all at one point, but at different times, I probably had every damn Hasbro figure.
Damn.
I mean, I remember I just had tons of them. I had like, like the British Bulldog, Virgil, Hulk Hogan, like Demolition, Jake the Snake Roberts, $1 Million Man. Yeah, I'm trying to think who I know. I had two Shawn Michaels figures. I had his rocker figure, and they, had him first designed him as his, bad guy gimmick.
Right. I remember having a Big John Stud figure.
Would you have the big rubber one?
Yeah, it's like the real hard rubber, though.
Yeah.
Hard to bend it. You couldn't really bend it.
Yeah, I mean, those figures were cool, but when you tried to, it's like they just were stuck in, one pose.
Right. I remember I had that for the longest time, and then, a few years ago, I just gave it away to a thrift store. I probably should have held on to it. But it was old, beat up anyways. I remember I collect a few wrestling figures, like a Hulk Hogan and, like I said, Big John Stud back in many years ago. Had to been like the late 80s, early 90s, something like that. So, let's see here. Another question is, do you recall the 1986 Blue Bar Steel Cage set with Hulk Hogan, Bundy figures on the box art? That's old school. I don't remember that.
Yeah. I remember it, but I didn't have it.
Yeah, and he says, imagine what that would go for today if you had it brand new sealed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be worth some good money.
I think it'd be hard to find any of the classic 80s toys anymore that's still brand new in a package.
Right.
It'd be very rare to find those deals.
Right.
I mean, could you imagine getting a toy in the 80s and never opening it, just putting it off somewhere and just and leave it sitting for years and years and find out, oh man, I still have this, it's unopened, and it's worth such and such. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah. Let's see, we got another question here. I'm not sure if I've asked this. Well, I'll ask it again if I haven't, or if I already had. Do you have a favorite 2004 WWE pay-per-view? His is Vengeance 2004. I don't think I've asked you that.
No, you haven't. But
do you have a favorite pay-per-view from 2004?
Actually, I do. Honestly, the 2004 WWE Royal Rumble.
Okay.
Because I mean, that was the one where Chris Benoit won, but there was a lot going on in that Royal Rumble. Remember, you said you watched it, and that was the one when was that the one that? Was that the one where Ernest the Cat Miller came out and was dancing?
Was he even wrestling at that time? 2004? I thought he was before that time.
No, it was one of the Royal Rumbles. He came out and was it was 2004.
Okay, I thought it was maybe 90 something, but
no,
late 90s.
He wrestled in WCW. Ernest Miller did till they closed, and then he didn't show back up in WWE till 2003.
Oh, okay.
And that was so funny because he just comes out and I remember Randy Orton and Chris Benoit were laid out in the ring, and he just comes out and starts dancing to the music. They wound up later on giving the fucking what was Brodus Clay, who later became Tyrus. He did that. Somebody call my mama. Somebody call my mama.
That was pretty funny when he did that.
Remember they grabbed the little his the guy that came out and announced him, and they went to throw him, and they the guy was wearing like a big massive wig, and when he went to throw him, he just yanked the wig right off his head.
Damn.
Well, yeah.
That's pretty funny.
I thought that was kind of stupid, because, I mean, Ernest Miller was actually a really cool wrestler, when he wrestled in WCW and in WWE, they didn't really do nothing with him. They had him come out and, dance and shit,
like Disco Inferno.
Yeah, well, at least Disco would come out and wrestle matches. Ernest Miller wasn't even, wrestling any matches.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Damn, I don't know.
Disco Inferno.
Yeah. Here's another one. Let's see. We got another question here. Do you recall the WCW Saturday Night 1993 a beach segment where it's about a 10-minute segment out in the Gulf of Mexico, and the heels are Sid, Vader, and Harley are out.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
They're out to locate Sting and British Bulldog.
Yeah, British Bulldog and Sting, they're on an island,
right,
playing volleyball, and then Sid, Vader, and Harley Race and Colonel Robert Parker show up on this, and they have they sent a midget guy swimming up to their boat and putting a bomb on their boat, and they're offering them they're trying to tell Sting and Bulldog you accept this thing for a retirement haven of your choice or suffer the consequences. And Sting's oh man, I think we should really think about this. And Bulldog's wait, what? He's come on man, look at this. You got 450-pound Van Vader, the master of the power bomb, Sid Vicious. Maybe we should just take these tickets and just retire. And after a long pause, they're Sting and Bulldog are nah, I don't think so. We'll see you at Beach Brawl, or what do they call it, Beach Brawl or something at the time?
I believe so.
They called it Beach Brawl, and the next event, the next year they went with Bash at the Beach.
Okay, yeah.
Well, no, Beach Blast. It was Beach Blast. Okay. They started it with, and then they later renamed it Bash at the Beach. But yeah, I remember that segment because they left and they were informed that there was somebody messing around with their boat. Sting goes to sea, and Bulldog finds out, and he has to run across the water, jump in the boat, and get Sting off the boat before it exploded. And then they pop out of the water
the things they did back then.
It was a corny segment, but it was pretty damn cool.
Right. I mean, you don't really see nothing like that these days,
No, you don't. But that was a hell of a damn, a dream match, dude. You figure you got Vader and Sid Vicious against Sting and the British Bulldog.
Right.
That segment was pretty cool. The kid's telling, he's there's a guy hanging around the boat going click, click, click. And they're no, they wouldn't. Sting!
That's funny.
And like I said, Bulldog running across the water
Yeah. Okay, another question here.
All right.
Did you see the WCW pay-per-view of January of 2001, one of WCW's final pay-per-views before March of the 2001 buyout?
Oh, their final pay-per-view?
It was one of their final pay-per-views. It was in January.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, January. That would have been I think WCW Sin, they called it.
Yeah, yep, that's what he said. WCW Sin pay-per-view.
Yeah. Oh, I vaguely, because I didn't watch the pay-per-views back at that time.
Well, then it says if you did see it, then you recalled Sid Vicious worst
Yeah,
energy where he broke his leg.
yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that. And then bringing out that mask guy that was supposed to be a big deal. Like Flair was going to introduce this guy into the match, and like the ending, like I know they had to end it quick because of Sid breaking his leg, but it was like really fucking kind of retarded. Like they brought the mask guy out thinking, oh man, he's gonna get his hands on Steiner, he's gonna go after Jarrett, and he literally just comes in the ring, like forearm smashes Sid Vicious. Scott Steiner makes the 1, 2, 3, and then he takes the hood off, and it's a Road Warrior Animal.
Yeah.
Like all that build up for that, for him to just come out there and forearm shot fucking Sid Vicious and Scott Steiner pick up the 1, 2, 3, like all that build up for that, really?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Next question is, did you see the WCW Halloween Havoc 1991?
91.
I think it says matches involving a duel of the Butcher, Steiner Brothers, Scott Hall.
Oh yeah, well, they put Abdul the Butcher in a cage, and they hooked him up to an electric chair and basically electrocuted him.
I do remember that.
I remember that. Like that's one of the things I do vaguely remember. But that was one of the corniest endings. You see him go in, and you just like the thing drops, and you just like.
That is pretty funny. Yeah, I do remember that incident.
Yeah.
Duel the Butcher, man, he's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't even know how far back he goes, but he goes way back.
And he loves carrying his foreign objects.
Yeah.
He always, every time like he had a match, he always dug into his tights for something, whether it be a fork, whether it be, brass knuckles or something. Like he always had something tucked in his damn tights.
Right.
And he loved getting bloody.
And he had a lot of matches with Bruiser Brody too. I think one of Bruiser Brody's last matches was with Duel the Butcher.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s. Which is crazy, man.
That would probably be a badass match. Two badasses like that, and Bruiser Brody and Abdullah the Butcher.
Oh, they've wrestled many times.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
That's probably some good shit.
Yeah, back in the 80s, of course. Bruiser Brody was a pretty tough-ass, dude.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to wrestle him, to be honest.
I didn't either.
I don't want to get hit by Bruiser Brody.
No.
You'd have to be pretty tough to wrestle him.
Yeah.
But let's see, I think that is it for the questions here. That was quite a bit. We had a lot here.
That's it for tonight. Good night, people. We're out of here.
Yeah. Let's see. There might be a few more. I'm looking through everything. Did you ever... There is one here. Let's see. Do you recall the... let's see. January 1997 WCW Saturday night in which... At the start, Tony Schiavone and Dusty Rhodes' American Dream were outside. The snowy, the words are kind of mixed up here, some sort of field where Green Bay Packers play all the home games in Wisconsin, Green Bay.
No, I don't recall that.
I don't recall that either. Did you ever watch the Dilbert animated shows?
What is it?
It's called Dilbert. There's an animated show, he says, in which Stone Cold Steve Austin as a judge. I don't remember that at all.
I don't recall that either.
Yeah. Let's see. I believe that's all she wrote for the questions. There's quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's all she wrote for the questions, and hopefully he's got a lot written down so that next time we can answer some more. But and I think if you want to, we can wrap this one up or talk about more stuff. It's up to you.
I mean, nothing comes to mind.
Right. I'm drawing a blank at the moment. But yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap that up. That was our podcast for the day, guys. I hope you all enjoyed. Rest in peace for all the wrestlers that have, passed away in 2024. That sucks. And
Ole Virgil and Ole Anderson will be missed.
Hell yeah. But anyways, yep. That is it for now, guys. We're out of here, and have a kick-ass day.